The rope creaked in the cold dawn wind, and for a moment, Caleb Mercer thought the shape hanging from the old cottonwood tree was just another shadow. But when the morning sun cracked over the ridge, he froze. It wasn't a shadow. It was a man, barely alive, swaying, his feet brushing the dust. Caleb felt his heart lurch. There were many ways to die in the West, but a slow death by hanging in the middle of nowhere was a cruelty reserved for the hated and the hunted. Only when he saw the man's long braids and the painted beads still clinging to his hair did Caleb understand the danger of what he was about to do. This was no ordinary man. This was an Apache chief. Caleb's horse snorted nervously, sensing the tension in the air. The rancher scanned the horizon. No riders, no settlers, no soldiers. Whoever hanged the chief had vanished. But they'd left the job almost finished. The chief's chest rose only faintly. His fingers twitched like snapping twigs. His eyes were closed, his lips cracked and purple. Caleb cursed under his breath. Saving him meant trouble. Leaving him meant guilt he couldn't shake for a lifetime. "Hold on, friend," Caleb whispered, swinging down from his saddle. He cut the rope with a single slash of his knife. The chief collapsed into Caleb's arms like a sack of dry bones. When Caleb lowered him to the ground, the man gasped, a wet, rattling sound, proving he was still clinging to life. Caleb quickly loosened the noose, easing the bruised skin, rubbing the man's cold limbs, forcing drops of water through his cracked lips. "You're not dying today," he murmured, though he wasn't sure the man could understand him. The chief drifted in and out of consciousness as Caleb dragged him across the saddle and began the long ride back to his isolated ranch. Every few moments the chief would mutter words in Apache, words Caleb did not know but felt the weight of anyway. They were heavy, pained, and desperate. Perhaps prayers. Perhaps curses. But they were alive, and that was enough. Caleb reached the ranch by noon. His ranch hands were gone for the week, leaving only him and the silence of the land. He laid the chief in his own bed, tending to the bruises, cleaning the wounds around the neck, and heating broths to coax strength back into the fragile body. It was only near sundown that the man's eyes finally opened, dark, sharp, and filled with fire. The Apache chief stared at Caleb for a long moment. Caleb felt the weight of that gaze. It was not the look of a man afraid, but of one measuring, studying, deciding. Finally, the chief rasped out in broken English, "Why, you cut me down." Caleb shrugged with a tired half-smile. "Because you were dying, and I ain't the kind of man who lets another die alone." The chief blinked slowly, absorbing the words. Then he nodded once, a gesture of deep respect. "I am Nantan Sika," he whispered. "Chief of my people." Caleb stiffened. He had heard the name. Everyone in the territory had. Nantan Sika was known for being both a fierce warrior and a man of honor. Whoever hanged him wanted the Apache war to erupt all over again. "You rest," Caleb said firmly. "We'll talk later." But the chief's eyes hardened. "My people, they will come. I figured they might. Not 10, not 50. The chief's voice grew stronger. "Thousands." Caleb's stomach tightened. Thousands of Apache warriors on the move meant panic, bloodshed, and war. And if they found their chief in a white man's cabin, wounded, hanging on to life, they would assume the worst. The next morning, the ground trembled before Caleb even saw them. He stepped out on his porch and watched dust clouds roll across the plains like a rising storm. Warriors, hundreds at first, then more, and more, appeared over the ridges. The sun glinted off spearheads and rifles. Horses snorted and stomped, riders moved like shadows. Caleb swallowed hard. This was not a group. This was a nation. The chief, still weak, staggered out behind him. "Let me speak," he said. "You're in no condition. I must." His voice was iron. "If they reach you first, you die for saving me." Caleb nodded. He supported the chief as they stepped into the open field, facing the full force of Apache warriors. A small group broke ahead, a vanguard of elite fighters. Their eyes were burning with grief and rage. A warrior pointed at Caleb and spat something sharp in Apache. Spears lowered. Bows drew taut. Caleb didn't understand the words, but he understood the meaning. "You took our chief. You will die." Before they charged, Nantan Sika raised a trembling hand. The warriors froze instantly. A murmur rippled through the ranks. The chief stepped forward, leaning heavily on Caleb's arm. Then he let go, standing tall despite the fresh pain streaking across his neck. "This man," Nantan Sika shouted in Apache, "gave me breath when others took it. The crowd shifted. Confusion replaced fury. He is not the one who tried to kill me. He is the one who saved me. Caleb watched thousands of hardened warriors bow their heads at once. The sight knocked the breath out of him. Then Nantansika pointed to Caleb. He is under my protection. The ranch he owns, the land he walks, the life he holds, all sacred now. A hush fell so deep even the wind dared not interrupt it. The lead warrior dismounted, walked to Caleb, and placed a hand over his own heart. You saved our chief, he said in accented English. We owe you a debt no blood can repay. Caleb exhaled, feeling his legs weaken. Just did what any man should. Not any man, Nantansika said. Only a man of honor. Over the next days, the warriors camped near Caleb's ranch, guarding it like a fortress. They hunted meat, repaired fences, even tended to Caleb's livestock. The ranch became a place of unlikely harmony, warriors and a lone rancher eating by the same fire, sharing stories through gesture and broken words. When the chief finally regained his full strength, he prepared to leave. Before departing, he pressed a carved bone pendant into Caleb's palm, a symbol of friendship and eternal protection. If ever you call for us, Nantansika said, we will come. Not as shadows of war, but as brothers. Caleb nodded, swallowing the emotion tightening his throat. Safe travels, chief. The Apaches rode out at sunrise, the land trembling under the power of thousands of hooves. When the last rider disappeared beyond the hills, the ranch felt quiet, too quiet, but also full, blessed by a peace few men would ever know. Caleb stood alone on his porch and looked at the horizon where warriors had vanished. He had saved one life. In return, an entire nation had chosen peace over war. And in that silent morning light, he understood something simple and eternal. Sometimes the most dangerous thing a man can do is the one thing that truly saves the world.